put me incarcerated 4 times for nothing. And I mean, they just ruthless. They stare at you, mean mug. They be mean mugging people for no reason, just for walking down the street. You can ask stupid questions, and for nothing.
The war on drugs is not only affecting consumers and sellers, it impacts the youth of color in the smallest aspects of everyday life, from walking down the street to driving. Today, it is no longer necessary for the police to have any reason to believe that people are engaged in criminal activity or actually dangerous to stop and search them. As long as you give consent, the police can stop, interrogate, and search you for any reason or no reason at all. Youth of color in impoverished neighborhoods constantly get pulled over, stopped, and searched with the premise that they fit the description of suspects.
I'm currently homeless, not due to my drug habit, but due to the situation around my drug habit. I was hired by a pesticide company to do pest control. I had done in-home healthcare services, and I believe that I was pretty valuable to my job, but due to the fact of meth being a part of my lifestyle, I was exiled out of that pleasure of working and earning my own money at my own will.
This story exemplifies how society has created a system in which we alienate and shun people who fit into the addict stereotype prescribed by the privileged members of society. The genius of the current caste system, however, is that it appears voluntary. People choose to commit crimes and partake in drug use, and that's why they're locked up or locked out, right? Wrong. Long before Chris and other drug users even decided to commit a so-called crime, the system had already stacked the odds against them. The United States has a long history of passing colorblind policies in order to strip people of color from their rights. President Clinton, following his predecessors, really hindered the community of color by enforcing mandatory minimum sentences and not allowing people convicted for drug use to be eligible to receive public support. In addition, recognized political figures have enforced an association of certain types of drugs to certain types of ethnic groups. Up until recent years, there has been a long-standing sentence disparity among crack and cocaine. Both may be nearly identical on a molecular level, but people who are charged with possession of just 1 gram of crack are given the same sentence as those found in possession of 100 grams of cocaine. This disparity unfairly targets crack users who are most likely to be colored, live in a low-income neighborhood. The neighborhoods in which these users reside in are heavily policed, making the incarceration rate high in these communities. White people are the #1 drug users, yet people of color make up all, if not most, of any prison population. Why? Because white privileged people have created monstrosities out of drug users. This allowed them for decades to make people of color less than human. Society is convinced that addicts are helpless and cannot be redeemed. So what is society's answer? Prison. Prison, specifically the Los Angeles Twin Towers, hosts the most people struggling with addiction and mental disabilities. How is it that we, as a society, expect people to get proper care if all we do is stick them behind bars? People struggling with addiction need love and proper care, not life behind prison bars.
You gotta realize we ain't got no jobs around here or nothing, you know. So every time we try to make a little something to get on our feet to try to help feed our family, they come kicking the doors in, knocking us back down again.
My family moved to La Habra from Norwalk in 2009. From my perspective, this area is a working class area. Multiple families live in a home in order to have enough money for rent. The police here are nicer than most cities, unless of course you fit the description. have ran many red lights in front of a police car, and they have never bothered to pay me any attention. In my 6 years that I've been here, there has not been much criminal activity, perhaps 2 shootings at most. I was live in La Habra because I still felt at home since there were a lot of Latinos. But I knew I was much safer than living in Norwalk. I did not know it was tough for my parents to make ends meet, to the point where they felt the need to resort to running drugs for extra cash.
The raid was from like maybe 7 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Out of nowhere, I just hear like a big bang on the door from the house next door. So we thought somebody was fighting or something. I see my dad walk up to the door, and he didn't say anything at all. He just opened it, and I just heard like a bunch of guys, like voices of guys, like walk up to us, and I didn't know it was the police.
They just started yelling and yelling at us, "Where are the guns? Where are the guns?" And I just remember feeling very, very, very confused. It kind of felt like I was just dreaming. They had us sit outside in the cold.
They just had us all sit down by that wall over there. We were just sitting down while they searched the whole house.
And I saw my dad on the floor. He was already on the floor with his hands behind his head. And he had this expression of just kind of giving up. Maybe he wasn't gonna fight the police. I guess he was just used to being harassed by the police. He knew the procedure right away. They did take money that was in my dad's wallet and my mom's safe. My dad had just gotten his refund check because it was tax season, and he was just gonna give that all to my mom for rent. So that was gone. My mom that was our rent money, and they took it, thinking it was. They said it was part of the drug money when it really wasn't.
So he just took the blame for it. I was really like attached to him, even though he would always like tell me, what do you say, like yell at me when I did something bad or something. We would always mess around, like with my mom, making her laugh and stuff.
Not having my father around all the time obviously kind of sucks. You know, he missed my sister's graduation from high school. He missed lots of family parties. I was living at home before coming to UCLA, and he kind of missed me just leave home for the first time to go live somewhere else. And it kind of sucks when he gets out. I won't be there anymore. I won't be home anymore. So it's just, you know, little things like that most people, I feel, take for granted. Like I would have loved to have my dad help me bring all my stuff to my dorm.
A house, like, it's not a home unless you guys are all together.